An SEC legend believes the Oklahoma Sooners have the best defensive line in the SEC. He's right.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Sooner Nation? Welcome to Locked On Sooners, and thank you for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. Tune in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. He's Jay Smith. He's been covering the Oklahoma Sooners over at Unfair Sports for years. I'm John Williams. You can read my work covering the Sooners over at SoonersWire.com. And Jay, on today's show, we're going to talk about a fan poll that we put up over on YouTube that has a lot of people believing the Oklahoma Sooners are going to have a lot of success this year. We're also going to talk fall camp storylines with fall camp opening on Wednesday, but we got to start here. David Pollock, the two-time SEC Defensive Player of the Year, three-time All-American, Georgia Bulldog, was on KREF in Norman with Dari Noka and your boy Josh Helmer, and said the Oklahoma Sooners have the best defensive line in the SEC going into 2025.
Yeah, Dari Noka's been pulling some names over there. Make sure you go on the audio version. We have an audio exclusive here on our feed on Locked On Sooners. We did an interview with him, so it's pretty dope. He is, of course, awesome. While at the same time, that man has been having a crazy run over there on KREF. And David Pollock, proclaiming that Oklahoma has the best defensive line in the SEC. Sounds like Cole Kublik, that's the second person that we've heard say that. It seems like a lot of people are finally selling themselves on the idea of Oklahoma. And I know I've had a few fans that have basically been a little bit perturbed with me and the quote unquote sunshine pumping your boy has been doing. But I've been wanting people to understand, mainly around this is the fourth year in Brent Venables' defense, and the way that Brent Venables' defense was at Clemson, they built that defensive line up. That trenches is where the problems became the biggest for the opposition. We're seeing that now. Now you're seeing everybody say, nah, I think that they have the best. Even the recruits that y'all weren't even sold on, gee, baby, y'all weren't sold on these recruits back then when we got them because they weren't top 100 players or top 50 players or top 10 players or big time 5 stars. Well, now they're saying that these are players that are NFL caliber guys, and we're seeing it. We're there. We're at the point where we expected Oklahoma to be. And John, I'm sold. I'm glad everybody else is getting sold too.
Well, we saw the makings of it back in 2023, right? The goal line stand after goal line stand, whether it was against Texas or UCF. We saw a number of goal line stands that season because of what Oklahoma did in the trenches, adding a Dejon Terry, adding a Dasan McCullough that year. Now those guys are no longer with the team, but it's not hard to argue that the defensive line has continually gotten better every year that Brent Venables, Todd Bates, and Miguel Chavis have been at Oklahoma. And this is the best iteration. And this is no disrespect to Dejon Terry or to Ethan Downs. It's just everything is coming together as Oklahoma goes into 2025 because you have a senior in Daminic Williams. You have a senior in Gracen Halton. You have a senior in R. Mason Thomas. And Thomas and Halton both had breakout years a year ago. Thomas had 9 sacks. Gracen Halton had 5 sacks, which, again, 5 sacks for a defensive tackle. It's really good.
Actually really good.
It's really good. You had a breakout from a true freshman in Jaden Jackson, who played significant snaps for you and played really, really well. So it's all coming together. You have a little bit of a question at that strong side defensive end, but that's not really even a question because you have really talented players over there vying for snaps. The only question is who's going to be the starter or who's going to be getting these significant snaps over there or the starter snaps over there, because I think everybody's feeling good about Marvin Jones Jr., Taylor Wine has been getting maybe as much positive pub as anybody in Oklahoma circles. And then you also have PJ Adebaware. You have Danny Okoye. There's a group of defensive ends you feel really, really good about. How long has it been since we could say we have 5 defensive ends we feel really good about?
Ooh, 5, yeah, it's been a while. Now, was it 2023 when you had the Trace Ford, Ethan Downs, R. Mason, Thomas, Caden Woolard kind of set up. You had yourself 4 that you were ready, and you were ready for PJ Adebaware to show out. But you had a good group, but you're right. It's been a bit since we've had defensive, just a full set of linemen that you're like, yeah, they're going to go cause problems. And the best point, I didn't even think about it that way, is all those goal line stands. Yeah, that was when you start to see, they're building a defensive line of dudes that actually care. They really care about doing something. And that became the staple thing that we talked about. It's funny. I remember when we played against Auburn and it was that 4th down at the goal line. And I'm just like, they're not going to try to do this, are they? I was like, well, let's see if this defense, they stopped them. Well, I'm not sure why you would do that. I mean, we saw Texas struggle with that against us the year before. We saw UCF struggled against us with that before until Canick decided to get a penalty that led us to go right back to 1st down and redo. We saw that, like you said, numerous times. West Virginia, numerous schools tried to push us around in the trenches, and we told them no at the 1. And so, yeah, they care. And that's the beautiful thing about the way this defense is built. It's built at the spot that everybody understands it needs to be built at. I remember last year at SEC Media Days, that was the one thing that Nick Saban said he felt like Oklahoma was not prepared for the SEC for. They didn't feel like they just did not have the trenches in order to handle SEC play. And then we went around and pushed around his old Alabama team. So it makes me feel like I think we're at that point. So I like the fact that Cole Kublik as well as David Pollock, and you're starting to see more national people start to talk about it. At first, I was a little nervous, like, I don't really want them to pay attention. Forget about us, please. Let us just sneak up. Nah, forget that. We need to be able to produce even when everybody's talking about us. And now we're at that point. We need to produce because everyone's talking about us.
Well, I think after last year, Jay, nobody was really going to be sleeping on Oklahoma's defense.
Fair.
This was going to be a team that was going to get everybody's best shot regardless. Again, this was a defense that was keeping Ole Miss in check for much of that game. You just didn't have an offense that could help you out. You had a defense that had a scoop and score fumble return against LSU. This defense that held Alabama to 3 points. A defense that, you didn't really get much of a shot against South Carolina because you went down 21-0 in the first 5 minutes. And you were playing from your 30 in the entire first 5 minutes. You didn't get a chance to really show what you could do in that game. The Texas game is about the only one that kind of got away from this defense, in my opinion. So I'm expecting everybody to come out and throw everything that they can at this group, especially because, listen, you've got a new starter at safety in Peyton Bowen. You have a new middle linebacker in Kobe McKenzie, which you talked about that Auburn goal line stand. I was listening to the guys, Brennan Drum, Parker Thune, and Drum brought up who made the play on that one. It was Kobe McKenzie. Yep. So it's not like we've got a guy that's stepping into this role that hasn't made plays for Oklahoma. He's made plays. Now it's just his time to be the guy at Mike. And I think he's ready for it. So 100%. The fact that everything that Oklahoma has been building to has them in this position to be talked about as one of the best, if not the best, defensive lines in the SEC, that's a self-fulfilling prophecy. That's the stuff that gets other defensive tackles drawn to Oklahoma, other defensive ends drawn to Oklahoma, Mike linebackers, weak side linebackers drawn to Oklahoma. Because what makes linebacker play more easier? Good defensive line play in front of you. Sorry for the terrible English. If you have good defensive line play in front of you, it makes linebacker play that much easier. So it's going to continue to help build Oklahoma's front seven as they continue to perform.
Yeah, no, 100%. And you got to have good trench play to survive the SEC. That's just period.
Well, and what's great about it, Jay, is it's not going to slow down because you have Jaden Jackson and David Stone for 2026, potentially into 2027. You've got Trent Wilson coming up behind them. You've got PJ. You've got Taylor Wine. You've got Danny Okoye. You've got Nigel Smith. You've got a really, really strong group of blue chip players that are going to continue to build this defensive line out.
Exactly. You've got young players who are ready to show that they are ready to play because Danny Okoye, PJ Adebaware, Taylor Wine, those guys want to show that they're that dude. And we talked about it last episode of who's going to be that one that's going to be the next next, not even just Ethan Downs, right? Just be the one that be the good complement to our Mason Thomas. Will it be Marvin Jones Jr.? Will it be Taylor Wine? Will it be Okoye? Will it be PJ Adebawore? We don't know who's going to be. You know who's going to be where, who's going to be rotating in, but all I know is this. We'll go at least 2 deep on every position on the defensive line, and I haven't felt more comfortable than I do now with that for us. I'm glad that we actually got comfort in that.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of really good competition at defensive end for Oklahoma. But what are some of the other fall camp storylines that we're going to be following all month long? We'll discuss coming up next here on Locked On Sooners.
Time to fuel up and turn it up with 5 Hour Energy's Transfusion. It brings the bold grape, ginger, and lime flavor of your favorite golf drink, minus the alcohol, into a quick, energizing shot. Whether you're sinking birdies or just making memories with friends, this is that's a hole-in-one for your energy game. And let's be honest, some days on the course or off it, you just need an extra boost to stay sharp. I know I always do. I think it's funny. I went and played golf with some buddies, about a year or so ago, and I hit one of my best drives ever. It was probably like 200 yards. Like, it was ridiculous. I've never done anything like that before. I was able to get down a par 4 and get myself a nice birdie, all because I had the energy to do it. And 5 Hour Energy would have been great to keep me going that entire game, because after that, I think it's like the 4th hole, I was pretty exhausted. I think I used all my energy to hit that one shot straight, because I'm not very good at that. But golf is all about good times with good people and good flavors, of course. The grape, ginger, lime flavors gives you the best parts of your clubhouse go-to without crashing down the bev cart. If you go to 5hourenergy.com today, that is the number 5, hourenergy.com, you can use my promo code Locked On Golf to receive 20% off your order. This offer is only valid until September 30th and on one order, and cannot be used with other promotions. The code is not good on subscription orders. Whether you're meeting up with friends or trying on turn 18 holes into 36, get the energizing boost you need to power through. Order Transfusion flavored 5 Hour Energy shots today.
Once again, thanks for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. Tune in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We need a Locked On Golf. I don't know why we don't have that yet. Like that's another show that needs to get added down the road, because listen, I like to play some golf. I'm not great. If I can break 100, I'm feeling pretty good.
I'm awful at it.
I like to play, man. There's nothing like hitting that shot flush or sinking a nice putt. But anyway, so fall camp is getting started. We're not going to have as much golfing unless you're Hugh Freeze. You're going to keep your tee times going, I'm sure. But Jay, what's the biggest storyline for you as we get ready for fall camp, or the thing that you're going to be following the most throughout fall camp?
What wide receivers healthy and what wide receiver is going to take over the top spot? We have a plethora of not only veteran wide receivers that we're expecting breakouts from, like we've talked about Zion Kearney. We've talked about, Deion Burks. We're expecting him to have a big year. Then you're looking at all the transfers. We basically ushered out 6 and we brought back in 6. You got Jermichael Carter. You're adding that with, is Giovanni ready? Is Jaden Gibson going to be healthy? The list goes on. And so with us having so many options, there was a picture that was posted recently by the wide receiver room, and all of those dudes were out there, had their jerseys in hand, some of the shirts off or whatever. But you can see how big of a room it is. They look healthy. They look good. Now the question is, how cleared are they and how ready are they to take over? And so for me, that room is, I want to see what that room's going to look like going forward.
You have a nice group of solid players, starting with Giovanni Gibson, Jaden Gibson, Keontez Lewis, Isaiah Satania, Zion Kearney, Ivan Carrion, Jermichael Carter. I mean, it's a deep group, 7 or 8 guys. It's just, you don't really have a clue outside of Deion Burks of who's going to be getting significant snaps. You can throw Jacob Jordan into the mix. I mean, he performed well when he got opportunities last year out of the slot. And so it's going to be really interesting to see how this all plays out over the course of August, because I could imagine like 8 different scenarios at wide receiver.
Yeah, me too.
Because if Giovanni and Jaden Gibson aren't up to speed and 100% practicing by week 1, what does that mean for the group? Who could be starting on the outside? It could be a Zion Kearney and Keontez Lewis. It could be a Zion Kearney or Elijah Thomas. Like, let's not sleep on the true freshman, because he's been really, really impressive. John Mateer even talked him up at SEC Media Days and said he's done really great this offseason. So that's a fascinating storyline to follow, because any number of guys could step in and take a role and then go out there and produce. And we haven't really talked about Josiah Martin. The dude's a playmaker. When he gets the ball in his hands, he can make some plays. And so there's a really solid group of players. And I think the best thing that we've got going for you at Oklahoma right now is that you just have 2 guys that are working their way back from injury. Jaden Gibson will be about a year out from his ACL. So it'll be interesting to see where he's at in his timeline. And then Giovanni Gibson he's out of the boot now. We'll see when they have him up and running at 100% practice reps during fall camp. But beyond that, that's really it. Andrell Anthony, tore his ACL in October of 2023, and you were hoping to get him back for 2024 at any point, but he never really got back. Nick Anderson battled stuff all off season. Jaden Gibson was about the only healthy wide receiver of your significant core. Deion Burks was battling things, if I remember right, for much of the offseason as well. And then he got hurt during the season. So I think you're in a little bit better place, that even if you have to go to your redshirt freshmen or your sophomores, they're guys that have a little bit more experience than what you had last year. So that's a fascinating one. And I think just in general health, the first minor injury is going to have everybody freaking out. Well, here we go again. This is what we're going to deal with again. But it seems like they've made some significant changes to their training style. We talked with Robert Spears Jennings and other people as well, talked about how they've made adjustments to what they've done with their training schedule and their regimen. And it seems like it's benefited them. You're not hearing of many minor tweaks or, little minor soft tissue injuries that are keeping people out, hamstrings and things like that. So hopefully that's going to be for the benefit. And the Jonathan Gress addition from the New Orleans Saints, hopefully he brings some things that's going to help promote wellness and better recovery for Oklahoma, so they can get guys back on the field faster.
And that's kind of be the key thing. I want to see what the recovery plan, the rehab plan, how that looks and how that comes in. Like, I know that going into this year in fall camp, things are going to be a lot different in comparison to years past. It feels like the smart thing to do is to ease your way into everything. So I was wondering, that was kind of like one of the other storylines I was curious about. Are they going to go full steam ahead and try to make sure that they're the most physical team in the SEC? Because you got to keep in mind, in order to be the most physical team, you got to practice as the most physical team. You practice the way you play. You play the way you practice. So you practice the way you play, you need to be practicing so you can be prepared to play. But the question is, do you want to ease your way into that and get and like ramp up? Because to me, that's the good thing of having a game like Illinois State. I know that there's these arguments out there in the world where people are a little perturbed, I guess you could say is the best way to say it, about the non-con schedules for a lot of these teams. Whatevs. To me, week 1 is your preseason, because college does not have that. And these are younger players still. Yes, they're susceptible to injury just like everybody else. They may recover a little bit faster, but they're still susceptible to injury because this is a very dangerous sport. Mm-hmm. Having a team like Illinois State to start, that's when you go out there and work on your physicality. That's when you start pushing people around, fighting people off. And then you can prepare yourself, because week 2, you got Michigan coming to town. Luckily, it's all back-to-back home games, so you're good in that capacity. So, John, to me, slowly ramp. Use Illinois State that week in that game as the one where you set your tone on physicality.
Well, I think what coaches are aiming for is not to peak too early, right? You don't want to hit your physical peak the second week of August. You want to be trending towards your peak as the season starts so that you're good to go by that time. I don't think that they're going to be trying to play with bubble wrap on players, or they're going to try to practice too differently than what they've done. They might have, fewer full contact practices or more days in between contact practices than what we've seen in the past. But I'm not concerned about this team and its physicality. I'm not. I've seen what the defense can be. I've seen what the offensive line can be when you have some consistency. Let's look at that Alabama game. Okay. Is it perfect? No, but the potential is there. So if you're physical in August, who cares? You need to be physical week 2 and moving forward. So I think, Jay, you're kind of onto something there. But if I know Brent Venables, like I think I know Brent Venables, we're not doing non-contact practices throughout fall camp, throughout the entirety of fall camp. They will put the pads on. They will have guys lining up, cracking heads, and they will have dudes that are challenging and competing because that's what he wants. He wants competition out there.
Yeah.
Some of that is that physical one-on-one competition, or that, those drills where it's heads up and you got to tackle the ball carrier behind them. Like, they want that kind of stuff. So I don't think they're going to sleep on any of that. I just think that they'll probably try to spread it out a little bit more.
Yeah, more so don't go in there and just be knocking heads every day after day after day. Ease yourself because you dealt with a bunch of injuries last year. You don't want to keep, the bad luck bug flying at you. So, yeah, take your time in that capacity.
Yep. Prayers up for the Oklahoma Sooners health situation for fall camp as we get ready for the 2025 college football season coming up. The Oklahoma Sooners fans, you're feeling pretty good about Oklahoma going into the season. How did you vote in one of the polls we put out over on YouTube? We'll discuss coming up next year on Locked On Sooners. Once again, thanks for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. Tune in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Jay put up a poll last week sometime asking Oklahoma Sooner fans, or really asking the internet on YouTube, because it could have been a lot of fans that weren't Oklahoma fans voting in this thing. So keep that in mind as you look at the results here. But Jay, I asked the question, how are you feeling about the Oklahoma Sooners in 2025? And the poll options were 10 plus wins, college football playoff, 9-3, 8-4, or 7-5 or worse. And here is how they voted. 40% of the 2,400 votes said 10 plus wins and a college football playoff berth. Another 40% said 9-3, 15% said 8-4, and 5% said 7-5 or worse. And I'm going to assume those are Texas Longhorns and Missouri Tigers fans showing up in the chat, voting that 5%. Jay, what's your reaction when you see how Oklahoma Sooner fans are voting here?
Yeah, that was definitely tainted by the competition there. But no, I am very happy to see that y'all are getting in the water. Shout out to my guy, Red Dirt Sports. That's exactly what we're doing right now. Everybody get y'all butts in this water. Y'all understand that this team is going to be way better than y'all think. This is going to be... We're in a situation now that, as much as people want to deny that Oklahoma has a chance of being good, they're recognizing that, yes, Oklahoma still has that want to. That's the most critical component in order to be successful in collegiate sports. You got to care. You got to care. You got to care. And Oklahoma's always been one of those schools. I mean, look at where we're located. We ain't got that many people here. Our population's low. Oklahoma shouldn't be this good. But they've historically always been great. Why, John? Because they care. They want to be great at something. That was always, that's in the lore of Oklahoma's history, is that, at the beginning of it being created, they're like, you know what? We'd find something we'd be great at. And so our focus is going to be this football field. Sure enough, we were it. They're the resources I put there. And so I like to see that fans are getting in the water and they're actually believing that Oklahoma has the ability of bouncing back. I actually like that fans believe that Brent Venables is the one to bring us back. The only reason why I'm not like some of the other schools who are really down on their coaches because the coach didn't feel like they're doing what they're supposed to do. The only reason why with Oklahoma I am so still like hardcore on it is that Brent Venables has changed the other side of the ball dramatically. If our defense wasn't good last year, I would be calling for his head just like y'all. But it was obviously the other side of the ball was an anomaly, obviously, because you don't win 6 games without that defense doing what they did. You don't do that without Brent Venables as your head coach being able to make everything happen on one side of the ball that we ain't seen to be very good since the last time he was here, John. So that's the only reason why I'm bullish, guys. Like I will confess that. I've confessed it on numerous episodes, John. I want y'all to understand. I'm only bullish because if he didn't do good on defense, I wouldn't be. But he's done it. Now I got to see if his hiring is good. I mean, Levy was not a bad hire.
No, Levy was a fine hire.
It was. It just wasn't a perfect hire. It just things happen. But Levy was not a bad hire because you had a top 5 offense with him, right? You were retooling the defense. Well, see what Ben Arbuckle can do, man. I think that Ben Arbuckle can be it, though. That's the other thing. I think he can bring that West Texas charm in the offense and cause problems in the SEC. Look, Leach caused problems when he was here. Rest in peace. He caused problems when he was there at Mississippi State. Go look at the numbers. He caused problems. See if Ben can do the same thing.
Yeah, I'm optimistic. I'm excited about this team. It's exciting to see Oklahoma fans excited about it. I think sometimes it's easy to get caught up in a lot of the negative talk and a lot of the issues and the questions that we have. But dude, football season is right around the corner, and now's the time to start getting hyped. Like, Oklahoma fans are going to be chomping at the bit when Michigan comes to town, or even that Illinois State game. Everybody's going to be ready to just put 2024 on the back burner in the rearview mirror and just forget about it. It's time. Like, it's time to move on from it. It doesn't matter. It's in the past. What happened last year is done. It's gone. And seeing that 80% of the respondents in this poll believe Oklahoma will go 9-3 or better, to me, that's showing a belief in what they're building, a belief in the offseason moves that they've made, a belief even in the head coach. I get it. He's not a perfect head coach out there. There isn't one. Aside from Nick Saban, and he's retired and apparently not coming back. And Kirby Smart might be the next best thing. But you're not going to find a perfect head coach. Brent Venables is kind of on the clock here. He's got to go win games to solidify his status and to get himself off the hot seat. But we saw coaches do that last year. Billy Napier did it. Shane Beamer did it. Why can't Brent Venables go do it? Yeah, the schedule's tough. The schedule is going to be a challenge. But you're Oklahoma. You're ready for these challenges. And Oklahoma is going to be the challenge for everybody else as well. And so, man, I'm hyped. I'm excited. I think everything's going to come together for this team. And it's exciting to see Oklahoma fans starting to at least get excited for what's going to come this season.
Talk season's over now. We got fall camp. We're actually going to start getting workouts. There should be some like presser or something today or whatnot. Mm-hmm. So we expect that to go down. And then, of course, we're going to talk about that here on the show. We get to hear from people. They're going to tell us something. Give us some news. Give us some updates. Hopefully we get some health-related updates. We get some injury updates, which I actually think we will. We'll probably hear who's going to be practicing, who's going to be playing, etc. And that's going to be important because, I mean, all of us want to know, like, who's going to be on the team. Like, I'm kind of curious to who's ready to go and who ain't ready to go. I'm a little nervous. Now I'm really thinking about it.
Yeah, and to close today, I just want to send a special shout out to John Hoover of Sooners on SI. He's been covering Oklahoma Sooners for a long time across, in the Tulsa area, in Norman. He's been one of the figureheads of Oklahoma football coverage, especially as things have transitioned from the paper to the digital side of things. He's been one of the guys at the forefront of that. He wrote a piece for Sooners on SI and released it on Tuesday, just detailing some of the health issues that he's been struggling with that have got him going into a semi-retirement. And I have had just a few interactions with John Hoover at a few different things. And, sometimes you never know what a person is going to be like when you meet him in person. And he was the nicest guy, incredibly welcoming and incredibly encouraging of myself and the work that we do here on Locked On Sooners. And for those of you who might not have followed the show for very long, so I took over in 2020 hosting Locked On Sooners. Well, John Hoover at one point in time was a host of Locked On Sooners prior to that. And so he's one of the OGs on the Locked On network. So just wanted to send a special shout out to him and his family. Just thinking about you, praying for you in the next few years and what life has in store for you. Really highly recommend that you all go read what he wrote. Just kind of a beautiful piece about what he's been going through, some of the things that he's feeling about what he's going through and what's to come. But just wanted to take a moment to send a special shout out to John, because he's one of the great people in our industry that is truly a gentleman and truly one of the good guys. And so if you are a praying person, please go pray for him and his family. Please go read that story over there all at Sooners on SI, because it's just a fantastic read, because he's such a great writer. Please go do that. And we'll catch you next time. We'll discuss everything that everybody had to say at fall camp, first media appearance. But he's Jay Smith. I'm John Williams. We'll talk to you next time.